Good Thursday morning, everyone. Welcome into today's daily Bible reading for December the 15th. Today we are reading together from Proverbs 28, which continues on this final section of the single sentence sayings of wisdom that have been preserved by Hezekiah's men. These are sayings of wisdom from Solomon that they have compiled and have been recorded for us. And you can almost see the ideas that were at the forefront of their minds as they collected these particular sayings, because there are a couple of themes that are found throughout this section of Proverbs here in Proverbs 28. So what I want to do, instead of just giving a top three today, I want to focus in on two subjects that show up multiple times within this text, just to acknowledge them a little bit. And that will be my portion for today. So I guess a top two subjects instead of just a top three single verses. So that's what we'll do as we read through today. Maybe you can see as we read through, see if you notice any recurring subjects or themes that are found here within this particular section of Proverbs 28. Let me go and get the text up on the screen for us. And we will get to reading here in Proverbs 28, beginning in verse number 1. The wicked flee when no one is pursuing them, but the righteous are as bold as a lion. When a land is in rebellion, it has many rulers, but with a discerning and knowledgeable person, it endures. A destitute leader who oppresses the poor is like a driving rain that leaves no food. Those who reject the law praise the wicked, but those who keep the law pit themselves against them. The evil do not understand justice, but those who seek the Lord understand everything. Verse 6, better the poor person who lives with integrity than the rich one who distorts right and wrong. A discerning son keeps the law, but a companion of gluttons humiliates his father. Whoever increases his wealth through excessive interest collects it for the one who is kind to the poor. Anyone who turns his ear away from hearing the law, even his prayer is detestable. The one who leads the upright into an evil way will fall into his own pit, but the blameless will inherit what is good. A rich person is wise in his own eyes, but a poor one who has discernment sees through him. When the righteous triumph, there is great rejoicing, but when the wicked come to power, people hide. The one who conceals his sins will not prosper, but whoever confesses and renounces them will find mercy. Happy is the one who is always reverent, but one who hardens his heart falls into trouble. A wicked ruler over a helpless people is like a roaring lion or a charging bear. A leader who lacks understanding is very oppressive, but one who hates dishonest profit prolongs his life. Someone burdened by blood guilt will be a fugitive until death. Let no one help him. The one who lives with integrity will be helped, but the one who distorts right and wrong will suddenly fall. The one who works his land will have plenty of food, but whoever chases fantasies will have his fill of poverty. A faithful person will have many blessings, but one in a hurry to get rich will not go unpunished. It is not good to show partiality, yet even a courageous person may sin for a piece of bread. A greedy one is in hurry for wealth. He doesn't know that poverty will come to him. One who rebukes a person will later find more favor than one who flatters with his tongue. The one who robs his father or mother and says that's no sin is a companion to a person who destroys. A greedy person stirs up conflict, but whoever trusts in the Lord will prosper. The one who trusts in himself is a fool, but the one who walks in wisdom will be safe. The one who gives to the poor will not be in need, but one who turns his eyes away will receive many curses. When the wicked come to power, people hide, but when they are destroyed, the righteous flourish. And that is Proverbs 28, which again today has 28 verses. There's a number of subjects that are repeatedly zeroed in on within this text. There's some about greed. There's other about helping the poor. But two that I think show up more than any others, at least by my count, and I could be wrong about that, are in reference to the law. We see that verses 4, verses 7, and verse 9. And then also about leadership, specifically poor leadership. So thinking about verses 4, 7, and 9, again, those who reject the law praise the wicked, but those who keep the law pit themselves against it. Verse 7, a discerning son keeps the law, but a companion of gluttons humiliates his father. And then finally, verse number 9, anyone who turns his ear away from the hearing, anyone who turns his ear away from hearing the law, even his prayer is detestable. A rejection of God's law, which is akin to a rejection of God's instruction. God's law is instruction. It is teaching for us. So those who reject instruction, which actually would be those who reject the Proverbs, they are described as a number of things within these verses. Number one, they are described as wicked. Why are they described as wicked? Well, it's as if they're praising the wicked. If you reject God's law, it is as if you are praising the wicked. If you're going to praise the wicked, I believe you would also be counted as wicked yourself. Number two, those who reject the law are a companion of gluttons. Verse 7, a discerning son keeps the law, but a companion of gluttons humiliates his father. If you keep the law, then you will not be a companion of gluttons, and you will not humiliate your father. But if you reject the law, then you very well might find yourself a companion of gluttons. And one of the principles we've seen throughout the Proverbs is if you have bad companions, don't be surprised whenever you find yourselves engaged in the same bad behavior as they are. And in doing so, you also humiliate your father. So far, if you reject God's instruction, you could be counted as wicked, as a glutton, as one who humiliates his father. But also in verse number 9, you are somebody whose prayer is even detestable to the Lord. Why? Why would your prayer be detestable? Well, often our prayers are focused around things that we recognize we need from God and that God alone gives. Yet do we think that God desires to give to those who reject his instruction? I would argue no, that if we reject God's instruction, then he has every right to reject our requests from him, and therefore the prayer itself is even detestable. So whenever you think about God's instruction by way of the Proverbs, the wisdom that is revealed to us within this text, if we reject these things, then we will find ourselves in a position of the wicked. Probably find ourselves in doing things that we ought not do through keeping bad companions. We'll find ourselves humiliating our fathers. We'll see even our prayers being detestable before the Lord. Therefore, the wisdom is don't reject wisdom. The wisdom is accept God's instruction and live by God's instruction. So that's my number one for today. Big picture thing from this particular section, Proverbs 28. My second one is about leadership. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different verses 3, 12, 15, 16, and 28 all key in on the idea of leadership, specifically what happens whenever there is bad leadership. So let me read those for us real fast. Proverbs 28 and verse number 3, a destitute leader, or a wicked man is another rendering. The Septuagint reads this as a wicked man who oppresses the poor is like a driving rain that leaves no food. Verse 15, a wicked ruler over a helpless people is like a roaring lion or a charging bear. Verse 16, a leader who lacks understanding is very oppressive, but the one who hates dishonest profit prolongs his life. And finally, verse 28, when the wicked come to power, people hide, but when they are destroyed, the righteous flourish. What it gets down to is that foolish leaders are a detriment to those underneath them. If you've ever been in a position where you were being led by someone who would qualify as being foolish, then you've seen this. You've seen that foolish leaders get their followers into trouble. Why? Because they don't make good decisions. They don't lead based upon wisdom. And when that happens, everybody suffers. But as verse 28 says, when they are destroyed, or when they are removed from these positions of authority or power or leadership, then the righteous flourish. it just gets back to the idea that leadership really matters. And that's something that obviously we've been talking about a lot within our Wednesday night class, talking about biblical leadership. We're talking about just how important strong quality leadership is. We need that. We need that in every realm of our lives, whether it be in a civil way, in society, we need good leaders. Within the home, we need good leaders. Within the church, we need good leaders. Because all of us, in at some point in our lives, again, we've seen bad leaders, and we've seen the negative effects of bad leadership. So having seen that, having experienced that, it would do us well to recognize the truth of these verses, and then to make sure that we are doing everything we can to foster a good environment of leadership. So if we are in a position of leadership, we need to make sure we lead well. If we are following good leaders, we need to really support them and praise them in that good leadership. If we have bad leaders, then we need to try to do what we can to help them do better and to encourage them to do better. Because again, this is a well-known saying, everything rises and falls on leadership. So may we be a people who love good leaders, support good leaders, and encourage those who might not be doing so well to improve themselves, so that everyone can prosper and everything can be as good as it can be. So whether we're talking about the law and God's instruction and heeding it, or whether we're talking about leadership and the importance of it, we find these wise single sentence sayings here within Proverbs 18, and I hope that they have encouraged you and blessed you today. Maybe there's something else within the text that stands out to you that you would like to discuss or highlight. Please feel free to leave that in the comment section here on Facebook or YouTube if you so desire. Again, thanks for tuning in to this reading on this Thursday. Hope you have a great rest of your Thursday. We'll be back at it again tomorrow as we read together from Proverbs 29. Take care and God bless.